This is a 1981 Dodge D150 pickup truck.
You bought it specifically to do something with it, didn't you?
This is my autocross toy.
And what made you pick this instead of what everybody else picks, like a Miata or a Miata?
Longshore Stewart? Yeah.
I'm keeping that. I'm keeping that. That's
well,
good.
I think I might be stupid. I had not a D150, but a D250 years and years ago. It was my first car, painted it twice, looked bad each time. But it was a ton of fun, and it stood up to me being a 17-year-old kid. I also did the Miata thing. I had the NA Miata, and then I had the Fiat 124, which is on your channel.
Yep.
Going from the NA Miata, it was kind of the slow car fast.
So it's basically a big Miata.
No. No,
let me check
it's
something
not.
before we do that.
It's not like an NA Miata in any way except that there's no driver aids and it feels analog. I wanted something that was no ABS, no traction control, manual transmission, very direct steering, kind of a blank slate, kind of like the Miata. I have not washed it, I have not cleaned it, I have not done anything visually except for some things that you may notice on the passenger front fender. And it's about 6 inches lower.
You never lose your list, do you?
Never lose my list. I got tired of the whiteboard getting erased whenever I walk past it and losing my paper list. So I put the list on the truck. So a big part of this project took about 18 months. So having a list that was really durable was important. I was all over the place and losing it. Losing the list, that is, and losing it.
So tell me where you started.
I started with this truck, as you see it cosmetically, with factory wheels and snow tires on it. It was a slant 6 with a 904 automatic, all stock, all worked fine. It was a fine slant 6, a fine light duty 904 auto. The truck was generally okay. Bought it, drove it, was great. So the first thing that I did was I lowered it. So that was an axle flip in the rear. From the factory, these come spring over axle. So I went spring under axle. In the front, I put on van control arms. The Dodge vans actually used a longer spring with a deeper pocket in the control arm to get the same ride height with a longer spring. So if you combine the truck spring with the van control arm, you lose about 3 inches of height. And I was able to find the spring rate for all of the possible front springs on this truck. So I found the spring rate for the Cummins diesel 3/4 ton truck and ordered springs that were the same height as the 1/2 ton spring, but the same rate as the 3/4 ton springs. So it sits lower, but it rides stiffer, doesn't bottom out. And since I was buying springs anyway, this gave me a way to reduce the body roll, increase the spring rate, keep everything a little bit more under control.
Tell me about the wheels and tires.
Vision Wheel Rally 55. It's a copy of the old Chevy muscle car rally wheel. They're 17 by 8 inch. So it gives me a little bit better tire choice. The tires are Falcon RTK something. Yeah. Anyway, they're Falcon's track autocross dual purpose tire that was mid-pack at best from 5 years ago. Mid-market entry into performance tires that fit the truck. So the slant 6 was running great. The automatic transmission was fine. The float on the 1-barrel carburetor on the slant 6 broke. And I said, I know how to fix this. The truck came with a 360 in the bed. The seller said, yeah, it's good. I took it out of a van that ran one time. So I hung that engine from a hoist, started it up once, and said, yeah, that'll work. As far as I know, it's a completely stock and very worn out 1983 4-barrel 360 from a 1-ton van. Not a ton of power, not really any power adders either. The carburetor that I happened into is a Barry Grant 750 with vacuum secondaries, which is way too big for this, and it has a Mopar performance distributor, just a little bit more aggressive of a curve. It also allowed me to run a GM HEI ignition. So I ditched the lean burn, ditched any of the computer controls to the carburetor. So it is essentially a mid-80s GM HEI system with a completely analog carburetor, no feedback. Transmission is different as well. The guy that I bought the carburetor from, I also got the transmission from. It is a A833 4-speed manual. This one is the overdrive version. They made two versions, one that's direct drive, 1, 2, 3, fourth gear is 1-to-1. The overdrive version was essentially the same transmission, except they physically flipped the lever for third and fourth gear. So as you shift, you go 1, 2, old fourth gear, and old third gear is overdrive. So it shifts in the same pattern. The linkage is flipped upside down. The overdrive gear is actually, they took away third gear and made it overdrive. So ratios are similar to an automatic. And then fourth is actually a pretty long overdrive. The front clip, if you'll notice, probably some crazy Mopar guys are watching this video already and notice it's not an 81 front clip. This truck's been wrecked a lot before I got it.
Not wrecked before you got it, wrecked
a lot. So this is a 86 or 87 front clip. The bed is obviously not original. The doors don't match the rest of the cab. I think the only 81 sheet metal on the truck is the cab.
Did you do the lights on
No, the lights were on it. They're actually a much older light than the truck is. They're a Signal Stat 1300 from like the late 60s.
What?
Yeah. So I'm hoping I can find new bases for them because they do
they
leak
work?
a little bit. They work. Yeah, they work just fine. The rubber grommets on the bottom do leak a little. So what's next for this is I need to assess the health of that engine that came in the bed that I did nothing to. I took this to a track day at Pit Race and I got kicked off. I got kicked out because the blow-by was such that it was forcing oil out of the breather onto the exhaust manifold and smoke screening the rest of the field.
Wait. You were in front of people?
They were lapping me.
Okay.
They were lapping me. So yeah, it's not healthy. The engine's not super healthy. It sat for an unknown period of time, so my hope is that there's stuck rings, and with a little bit of persuasion and Marvel Mystery Oil, they might free up, but I'm not gonna count on it. I would probably take this truck anywhere that I knew there was a parts store around. Like I said, I built this so that everything on it can be replaced at a Napa, a AutoZone. There's very limited to no trick parts on it. Even the carburetor, that's kind of a weird brand, it's a Holley. It's just a Holley carb. Part of what I wanted with this was that, like, is it gonna survive? Is it gonna make it? Am I gonna come back? It is engineered Ram tough.